这屋头已经压了3包墙了，小区被冲了，屋头都是大人升的水了。前面塞铁路已经安完了。
注意一下啊！啊，那么多色红，报废。
While rescue teams are still working through the dam collapse wreckage in Guangxi, a completely separate storm system has struck northern China. Two cities, two provinces, same 24-hour window, both overwhelmed.
Affecting multiple regions and creating serious flooding.
Subscribe and turn on notifications before we go further, because this is the third simultaneous disaster zone in China in less than 2 weeks, and the pattern it is part of is not stopping. On July 12th, heavy rainfall hit Guangxi County in Chengde, Hebei Province, roughly 250 kilometers northeast of Beijing. Floodwater rose with a speed that caught residents completely off guard. Streets that were dry in the morning became fast-moving rivers within hours. Social media footage showed powerful muddy currents surging through roads. Pushing parked vehicles off their positions and carrying them downstream. Cars that had been stationary minutes earlier were drifting through streets, their drivers powerless against the current. That image, a parked car being swept down a city street, is one of the most effective illustrations of how quickly urban flooding becomes life-threatening. Moving water does not need to be deep to be deadly. At ankle depth, it can knock an adult off their feet. At knee depth, it can carry a vehicle. And in Chengde on July 12th, residents described how the transformation happened so fast there was no time to prepare. People who had left their cars parked normally in the morning returned to find them halfway down the street, wedged against walls or railings, filled with muddy water.
To local state media, water levels on some roads in Guangxi exceeded 2 meters. Footage taken in the area showed vehicles colliding with one another on a flooded road and then being swept away.
Beyond the city itself, the surrounding mountainous terrain added a second layer of danger that emergency managers take extremely seriously. Chengde sits within steep river valleys that are highly vulnerable to flash floods, mudslides, and landslides when heavy rainfall saturates already stressed ground. Urban flooding is visible and dramatic, but the secondary disasters in surrounding mountains are often where the most severe casualties occur in Chinese flood events, when roads are cut off and communities in narrow valleys have nowhere to go as water rises around them.
过不去。
Local emergency teams were deployed immediately, inspecting infrastructure, assisting residents, clearing obstacles, and monitoring flood control systems across the region. Then the following morning, Shenyang was next. On July 13th, Liaoning Province's capital city, home to over 9 million people, was hit by its own intense rainfall event. The rain intensified in the early hours of the morning, the worst possible timing for a city preparing for a normal workday. The Shenyang Meteorological Department issued a high-level rainstorm warning, advising residents to avoid unnecessary travel and take precautions against urban flooding, water accumulation, and transportation disruption.
干啥呀？人家车不干呐！看看应急的车，什么车？丰田吧？哎呦我操！这什么车？哎呦我操！哎呦我操！太牛逼了，这车！
Social media showed powerful currents moving through streets, with muddy floodwater covering sections of road. In some areas, parked vehicles were reportedly caught in the rushing water, with several cars pushed by the current and drifting as the floodwaters continued to rise.
有人看看这外头的水啊，都到哪来？这么这好好的滴水，好好的滴水，看见了没？
哎呀！
Roads across multiple districts experienced rapid water accumulation. Vehicles moved at near standstill speeds through flooded sections. Some streets became effectively impassable within minutes. Drainage systems across the city were pushed to and beyond their design capacity. Emergency departments intensified monitoring of infrastructure, underground areas, which are particularly vulnerable to rapid inundation, and major arterial roads.
沈阳市于洪区渤海路万科公园大道附近啊，大家看一看。
And Jinju.
哦，那个人小车走了，那个人小车大街喽。喂，这那个人小车。
Personnel were placed on standby across the city to respond to incidents as they developed. Two cities, 700 kilometers apart, both paralyzed within the same 24-hour window. This is not an isolated bad weather story. China is currently managing what can only be described as a cascading multi-disaster summer. The Guangxi Dam failures from Typhoon Maysak produced flooding that collapsed 5 dams in a single day and displaced tens of thousands. The tornado outbreak in Hubei killed at least 11 people and damaged nearly 5,000 homes. And now simultaneous flooding in Hebei and Liaoning from a completely separate storm system that has nothing to do with either of those events. These northern cities were not affected by Typhoon Maysak. They were hit by an independent heavy rainfall system moving through northeastern China, which means China is not dealing with the aftermath of one storm. It is dealing with the active simultaneous impacts of multiple weather systems across a country spanning thousands of kilometers, each one demanding emergency response resources, personnel, and infrastructure at the same time. China's emergency response systems are among the most developed in the world for exactly this type of event. The country learned hard lessons from the 2021 Chengde disaster, when extreme rainfall killed more than 300 people in a single afternoon, including 14 people trapped in a flooded subway tunnel. The response machinery built after that event is well established and well practiced. Personnel are deployed fast. Monitoring systems are activated immediately. Evacuation orders go out before situations become catastrophic. But what is being tested right now is not whether that machinery exists. It is whether it can operate simultaneously across multiple provinces, multiple disaster types, and multiple ongoing emergencies without becoming overloaded. Every emergency deployment in Hebei is a deployment that is not available in Guangxi. Every team monitoring drainage in Shenyang is a team that cannot simultaneously be reinforcing a dam in Hunan. The drainage systems in Chungde and Shenyang were built based on historical rainfall data. That data is now being systematically exceeded by current conditions. The rainfall intensities arriving in Chinese cities this summer are not what those drainage networks were designed to handle. What we are seeing is not unusual bad luck. It is what happens when the weather patterns that shaped a country's infrastructure investment have shifted faster than that infrastructure can adapt. The rain has not stopped. The emergency response is ongoing across multiple provinces simultaneously. Subscribe and hit the bell, because what is unfolding across China this summer is not a series of isolated events. It is a pattern, and the next chapter is already forming.